Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our third and final segment for this morning. It's going to be a great conversation. Now, this one is all about rebuilding following the barreling of Hurricane Lisa. We lost a lot of stuff. People lost homes, they lost their businesses, and much more. But the rebuilding process is what people might not know how to do, what to, and when to. Now, to tell us all about these, or to give us some insight into these, we've got Marlene Flores, who is the president of the Association of Professional Architects of Belize, and Rami Chia-Molina, civil geotechnical engineer, president of the Professional Engineers of Belize. Ladies, good morning and welcome. You guys are on Zoom.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Power to the women in architect and engineering.
So wish you guys could have been in the studio.
Yes, yes.
So let's jump on with it. We have minimal time for this one. Rebuilding is a process that a lot of people try to take into consideration, might not be able to fathom what to, how to, and when to. Let's start there. Marlene, your name is first. When it comes to rebuilding, what are some of the things that we must put into consideration to start?
Morning, everyone. Yes, so when it comes to rebuilding, the first thing we should think about is architects, engineers. We are here for a reason. Many times, a lot of people like to build thinking that they can just whop something up quickly. Architects, engineers, we have it all figured out. We're there to help, along with the Central Building Authority, the building units. We're all here to help and give you all the information you need. I know a lot of times people like to say it's because of cost. They're trying to save money, but you should think about it as a long-term investment. Spend the money now and secure your home for the future. So that's the first thing you should think about.
So primarily you go to an architect so they could check your area, check what's conducive, what is not, what's durable, what is not.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. So that's the first step.
When we are talking about the increase of prices in different materials, we're all going through a global recession at the moment. In terms of something that is within your budget, primarily, you're just trying to find a good, stable home that could withstand natural disasters. How do you advise persons to begin?
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to blow a budget. There are many different construction methods to keep within a budget, and that is why you should consult architects and engineers. They will be able to guide you as to what materials are suitable and which fit within your budget for building. So it doesn't mean you have to have $1 million to build a home, So it's just a method of construction. A small home, a bungalow home, or a 3-story home, they all have the same methodology with different, building materials. We can all achieve the same thing. And that's why you go to an architect. First, you go to an architect to design your building, your structure. You let them know what your budget is, and they can let you know realistically what square footage you can work with the budget that you have in mind. After you finish your design, architects and engineers work together. The engineers will make it work. Architects make it beautiful. Engineers make it work.
I like that. I like that. But let's get Rami in. Rami, we are in a tropical country. We are in hurricane season, June to November. But a lot of people just going out there and just put anything out there. Some folks will say, I was not doing any knock and stand up for now, and then eventually I will try to build on that. For a hurricane, or for the hurricane season, or for your life, how do you prepare your home so it could withstand these hurricanes in these tropics?
Okay, first of all, we would say that there's no quick fix to building resilient buildings, not in Belize, not in the Caribbean. Like you said, we're in the tropics, we have hurricanes. So we have to consider flooding and wind loading. So when it comes to building there, I cannot say more than what Marlene already said in regards to getting an architect or an engineer involved. First of all, there are policies in place and there are new policies being made. We're working right now on the building codes or national building codes. We're working on that within APEB, and the Ministry of Infrastructural Development and Housing. And these are going to be enforced pretty soon, hopefully. So the first thing is to keep that in mind. Spend the money now. I know you might say, oh, materials, but like Marlene said, we can always work around your budget.
Yeah.
If you wanted a 5-bedroom house, but you realize we have to build resilient for the climate that we're in, you might end up with a 3-bedroom, depending on your for your criteria that you want, and taking into account a minimum of a category 2 storm. I would say I would not build for a category 1, honestly. The next thing I would tell people is it's not always expensive to build properly, because you can build a wooden home once you follow the correct criteria and you ensure that you have the correct pitch on your roof, the correct screws are used, the correct gauging of metal sheeting, you have hurricane straps. There are little things that you need to do and ensure that even though your engineer, your architect tell you to do it and put it in your drawing, you need someone to be there periodically checking that your contractor is also doing what he's supposed to be doing.
So when it comes to Belize City and who took the brunt of this hurricane that just went down a week ago, what would be the ideal, stable house plan to withstand a hurricane here or near the coast? What tips do you have for those that are trying to rebuild now that their homes have probably been completely destroyed?
Well, of course, concrete would be our first go-to.
Right.
Concrete building, those would withstand more, but we know due to budget constraints, a lot of people might not be able to do that.
Yes.
So having a wooden structure is not always a bad thing. You just have to make sure that you're high enough,
Yeah.
that your roof has a minimum of a 30% pitch. You ensure that your metal sheeting has the proper overlap. Try not to use the roof that has only one pitch.
Yeah.
This is better. And if you have 4 pitches, even better, which is what we call the gable roof. Those are more aerodynamic and can withstand more.
Very important.
Ensuring that if you use the umbrella nails, you know, those little nails that look like a little cat.
Yeah,
The umbrella nails, which they use for
If you use
roofing a lot.
that, yeah, it's not frowned upon to use that. It's just that you need to ensure that it goes completely through your wood member and then you bend it at the end. There are little things that we can do to ensure that we're trying to hold down that roof.
Right.
Because remember, with a hurricane, what happens is the wind comes and tries to lift your roof up, right? So you have to ensure that your eaves aren't too long, maximum of foot, your eaves, because the longer you make it, the more
easier it could be,
right. When, you know, when we're doing these constructions, we need to make sure that we keep these things in mind. It's not only about, okay, a concrete house is better, but there are ways to make a wooden house with a metal sheeting sound.
Would you recommend if you're doing a concrete house, would you recommend that we cast the top of it, or you could just put a roof on your good?
You can do either one. It all depends on your budget. I would say if you have the budget, go concrete. But if you don't have the budget, then you can still do a metal frame, wooden frame, zinc roof. You could still get that accomplished properly using straps, anchors to make sure that your roof is indeed connected to your building, because that's where, if you notice on a lot of the video footages that went around over the past couple of days, a lot of roofs just peeled off like a band-aid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are some mistakes that people are making when it comes to purchasing material? Not everybody can afford to have a contractor and an architect at their disposal at all times. So what are some small mistakes that people are making that would end up to having their roofs being blown off or their houses completely demolished after a hurricane?
What I've seen from this experience with Hurricane Lisa, I've noticed a lot of the roofs, it has to do a lot of with distribution. I see a lot of the rafters and purlins, the distribution is done incorrectly. Like Rami had said, there's a lack of usage of heel straps, hurricane cleats, flashing, barge trims, ridge trims, all these components that make up a roof. That's I'm speaking about roof because that's the main component that was that we see around.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that you should keep in mind. If you're going to spend and be within a budget, make sure that your structure is 100% intact. And when we speak about structure, the structure works as a whole. We can't just speak about roof. You still have to take into consideration your walls. For example, if you're building the wooden walls, you're using your sidings, make sure they're all sealed properly, nailed down properly, screwed down properly. Also, when you're building, it's not just about build now, forget about your structure. You should give your structure maintenance. For a roof, every 5 years, check the screws, check that the rubber gaskets are still there. Check your flashing, check for any leaks in your walls as well. So those are different tips that we should keep in mind when rebuilding.
All right, so Marlene, I'm so glad you went there because, all right, there are a lot of people who, like myself included, we were in the brunt of the storm, but I didn't lose any roof. I was good.
Yeah.
But so after a storm, like for somebody like me who we never lose a roof, but we know that it was battered, like this reason is serious. What are my checks? Do I go up? Do I check? What should I do after a storm?
Definitely, you should definitely get your roof checked because after the hurricane, your roof might not have flown off, but I'm pretty sure some wind got in underneath, start to lift some components. You need to go in, do your checks, do your maintenance, make sure everything is still strapped down properly, seal any gaps, any leaks, make sure your gutters, flashing, everything is properly sealed. So definitely, if you are not affected by the hurricane, still do your checks.
We're
Also in concrete structures, you need to check as well. There might have been some cracks on your walls due to surge, the strong winds beating against the concrete. We shouldn't keep concrete away just because it's concrete.
We take it for granted.
Nothing happened to it.
We're talking about strength and strong buildings and roofs and so forth when it comes to flooded prone areas. Let's discuss foundations and what are the tips for persons that are trying to build a home, particularly in an area that even with light rain, it will flood out.
Yeah, you get flood.
The first tip I would give for that would be to ensure that your house is above the minimum known flood level. Normally, if you move to an area, there normally other people living there, you would want to go at a minimum and check with your neighbors or look around on the trees for watermarks to see, okay, that's where the water would go. And then you try to ensure that you're at least a foot above that. Another thing that you would try to ensure is that your foundation, if it's a wooden, I'm going to speak about wooden structures because I know in Belize City, that's what I saw the most of being damaged. Like Marlene said, yes, the concrete structures, they do suffer damage, but the level of damage is less. So I'm thinking more of what I saw in while driving through Belize and doing some checks there. So if you have a wooden structure, you would make sure that your floor is at least a foot above the highest known watermark, if possible. You ensure that no wooden members are directly in contact with the ground. You try to ensure that you have at least a few blocks up or a little column so that you can place your building on that is, so that when the water comes up, you are above water so you don't get rotting, because rotting would be your first problem. You also have to ensure that because you're raising your building, wind can also go under that building and it could shift it to a side. So you have to ensure that the same, like similar straps that you use on your roof, they're straps made for you to use on your foundation if you have a wooden building. Because remember, wind tends to turn things over, lift things up, because the wind is coming in a counterclockwise and then the
Yeah.
clockwise. So the wind is beating you in all directions. So you have to hold that down. With a concrete structure now, you would do similar stuff. You would ensure that you're above, your floor level is above grade, above the known water mark. But with a concrete, you worry a little less when it comes to a hurricane because you are thinking the weight of that building can hold it down. Like Marlene said, though, if you have walls that aren't properly done in concrete, like you don't have fill walls or reinforcement in your walls as should be, then you can have a whole wall topple over.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
remember, now you have a surface and wind is pushing
Right.
against that surface. And if it's not properly done, it can topple over. So you really have to make sure that you're looking at all these things when they're building your house for you.
Are gutters really important? Rami or Marlene, are gutters, house like roof gutters,
Yeah.
are they really important? Do you have to have them?
They play a role in getting the water runoff your roof, but there are many different ways to get water run off your roof. You know, we have scuppers, and gutters. So I would recommend putting gutters or scuppers.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, just because you have this gush of water coming off your roof, going on. I don't know, if you don't have a concrete floor on the bottom of where that water is flowing, let's say you have mud, you have grass, it just becomes messy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it does help aid in directing
Where the
where
water
you
goes.
want the water
Where you want the water to go.
to run off. Yeah.
All
What you
right.
ask, Jen?
Why do I ask?
Yeah.
One
why-
issue,
Sure,
Go ahead,
sure, Rami.
go ahead, Rami.
yeah, one issue with not having gutters is like what Marlene is saying, that you don't direct the water to a specific place. So sometimes that creates, and I've seen it in several houses that I've inspected, that where the water goes right by your foundation, it starts undermining your foundation. If you have like a floating foundation and the water is just dropping there, and there's an area where you might get more water than another area, and if you don't direct your water to where it wants to go, it can create damage to your foundation, making one section of your foundation more saturated
Yeah.
and weaker than another, and that could cause settlement later on. So that's why you would tend to want to use gutters to direct your water to where you really want it to go.
Excellent.
That is an
Really,
excellent
really
tip.
important, guys. Time is just flying by,
It's
just
gone.
like that.
And I'm here listening because, you know, one of the things that we talk about are persons that are trying to build a new home or make a new home. And
Yeah.
these are not necessarily things that we think about. We just want the structure over our heads.
We take it for granted.
Right, right.
We take it for granted. But and my final question, ladies, would be for somebody who would want to get started now with building their homes. They need contractors. They need architects primarily. Where can they go to find these people?
We have a website. Both of us have a website. The Central Building Authority and all building units has a list of registered architects and engineers. Our information I'll give the information for APAB. You can contact us at belizearchitects@gmail.com. You can visit our website at architectsofbelize.com or on our Facebook at APAB 2001.
All right.
So at any of these contacts, and Rami, you can let them know about the
Rami,
engineers.
jump in. Final words are yours.
Yeah. Okay, for you to contact an engineer, you can write us at info@apebelize.org. You can visit our Facebook page, which is the Association of Professional Engineers, or our website at Belize.org.
All right.
right.
Thank
Rami,
you,
thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, Rami. All useful tips on how to restart and build a strong home in the wake
In the
of a
event.
natural disaster. Thank
All
you,
right.
ladies.
Thank you,
so much.
ladies. All right, so we're
Thank
about to take our final break of the morning, and when we come back, we'll be
Wrapping
wrapping
things
things up. Stay with us. We'll be
Right back.